Your life did not fall apart by accident. Not in the way bad luck works. Not in the way things simply go wrong for people sometimes. Something specific is happening to you right now. And it has already been happening longer than you realize. Something is shifting. And you felt it before you had words for it. If you have never subscribed to this channel, do it now. Because what I am about to walk you through are 7 signs that what you are experiencing is not a breakdown. It is a beginning. And I need you to stay for sign number 4. Because sign number 4 is the one that stopped researchers cold. The one nobody talks about. The one that changes how you understand everything that has been happening to your body, your mind, and your life. There is a sequence to the way a life collapses. It does not happen all at once. It never does. The first thing to go is always a foundational pillar. A relationship ends. A source of income vanishes. A diagnosis lands on a screen. And because your life was built like a web, that one pull strains everything else. The financial pressure crushes the relationship stability that remained. The emotional weight drops performance at work. The chronic stress finds the body. And you are still catching your breath from the first blow when the second and third land. Researchers Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun at the University of North Carolina spent decades studying exactly this. What they found is that the collapse itself is not what changes people. It is the processing that follows. The cognitive and emotional reckoning with what just happened. That is where the transformation lives. Not in the disaster. In the aftermath. Most people assume this is just grief. A bad period. Something to get through. It is not. It is a stripping. A forced removal of everything that was never actually yours. The first sign is the silence. When your life collapses, the background noise of the world drops out. The phone stops ringing. The people who used to fill your hours quietly disappear because they do not know what to say. And you are left in a stillness that feels nothing like peace. It feels like the world forgot you were in it. You notice the empty chair, the quiet side of the bed, the sound of your own breathing in a room that used to never be this still. Most people assume this silence means something is wrong with them, that they have been abandoned. That the world is confirming what the collapse already suggested. It is not. Stephen Porges, whose polyvagal theory transformed how we understand the nervous system, identified this exact withdrawal response. When the system is overwhelmed, it shuts down the external noise and pulls everything inward. The silence is not rejection. It is your nervous system creating the conditions for something it already knows is coming. The world went quiet because you needed to be able to hear what comes next. The second sign is the numbness. Not sadness. Not tears. Numbness. A flat, clinical detachment where you watch your own life fall apart the way you would watch a film. You operate on autopilot. You do the tasks. You answer the messages. But behind it, there is nothing. A strange stillness where the feeling should be. Most people assume this means they are broken. That they do not feel things properly. That something in them shut off. It did not. Polyvagal theory describes this as dorsal vagal shutdown. A biological protection. When the nervous system reaches its processing limit, it induces detachment to prevent complete system collapse. Your body is not failing you. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is holding you together in the only way it knows how while the larger work begins beneath the surface. But what comes next is the pattern most people never identify. The third sign is the body speaking before the mind does. Before you intellectually understand what is happening, your body already knows. There is a constriction in your throat, a crushing weight behind the sternum, a hollow dropping sensation in the stomach, like a floor disappearing, hands that will not stop shaking despite the exhaustion. The body is treating an emotional collapse the same way it treats a physical predator. Because to the nervous system, they are the same threat. What is remarkable about this is what Tedeschi and Calhoun found in their post-traumatic growth research. The people who later reported the deepest transformation were not the ones who bypassed the physical pain. They were the ones who moved through it, who let the body complete its response rather than suppressing it. The chest ache is not a symptom of weakness. It is the body doing the first layer of the work. The fourth sign is that you start noticing things. This is the one. Repeating numbers. A song that comes on at exactly the right moment. A word that appears 3 times in one day from 3 different directions. A coincidence so specific it stops you mid-breath. Most people assume this is wishful thinking. The mind grasping at comfort in chaos. It is not that simple. Carl Jung called it synchronicity. He described it as meaningful coincidences, moments where the internal world and the external world appear to mirror each other in ways that feel impossible to dismiss as random. What the research shows is that during total life disruption, hypervigilance activates. Because the conscious mind cannot make sense of the chaos, the subconscious begins scanning the environment with extraordinary intensity, searching for a narrative grid. A pattern. Something to hold. You are not imagining the signs. You are in a state where your perception has been sharpened to a level most people never access. The question is not whether the signs are real. The question is what you do with what they are showing you. And that is not even the part that changes things. The fifth sign is the personality shift. You are not the same person you were before this. And the people around you can feel it even if they cannot name it. There are two directions this goes. Some people close. They become guarded, cynical, and hyper-independent. Their world shrinks. They refuse to trust stability again because stability has now proven it can be taken. But others open. They lose their superficial anxieties completely. The things that used to consume them, status, minor arguments, the daily noise of ordinary worry, lose their power entirely. They become quieter, softer in ways that are not weakness. More focused on what is raw and real than on what is impressive or comfortable. Martin Seligman's research on learned helplessness identified the fork in the road. The people who move through collapse rather than around it rebuild their sense of agency from the inside out. Not by forcing control over external events. By discovering that they can choose their response even when they cannot choose what happens. That discovery changes everything. What comes next is the one researchers did not expect to find. The sixth sign is the moment of release. Not the loud one. Not the dramatic breakdown. The quiet one. The moment in the middle of an ordinary afternoon where something in you stops fighting. Where you stop trying to hold the pieces of the old life together with both hands. Where you finally, fully, let it be gone. Marcus Aurelius wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Stoic philosophy built its entire foundation on this distinction. Not because external things do not matter, but because the grip on external things is what causes the deepest suffering. Taoism calls this Wu Wei, effortless action, yielding rather than forcing, water that reshapes because it does not resist what it meets. The moment you stop white-knuckling the life that is already gone, something extraordinary happens. The fear of losing things disappears, because there is nothing left to lose. And when that fear goes, what remains is something that cannot be taken. But what comes next is the sign most people find hardest to explain away. Because this one does not just happen around you. This one happens through you. The seventh sign is the realization that the old self is gone. And that is not the tragedy you thought it was. The life that collapsed was built on things outside of you. A title. A relationship. A version of normal that required constant maintenance to sustain. And when it fell, it took with it everything that was constructed on top of that foundation. But it did not take you. What you are underneath all of that, the self that existed before the roles and the routines and the identities you wore for other people, that is still there. Quieter now. Clearer. Tedeschi and Calhoun found that the people who experienced the deepest post-traumatic growth were not the ones who returned to who they were before. They were the ones who stopped trying to, who allowed the old self to have a kind of death, and who were willing to meet whoever emerged from the rubble without requiring that person to look like the one who went in. You have been in the rubble. You know what that looks like. You know what it feels like to wake at 3 in the morning in a silence that used to hold someone else. To realize in a mundane, cold moment that the routine you took for granted yesterday is completely inaccessible now. To carry a weight behind the sternum that does not have a name. That experience is real. The numbness was real. The signs you noticed were real. The silence was not abandonment. The body's response was not weakness. And the person you are becoming is not a lesser version of who you were. She is what was always there underneath everything that had to go. You do not have to find a silver lining in this. You do not have to perform recovery. Some of what was lost is permanently gone, and that is a real and legitimate grief. You are allowed to walk with that. You are allowed to be permanently changed. You are allowed to not be the same. The healing is not about returning. It never was. It is about learning to recognize yourself in whoever is left when the collapse is finished. Tell me in the comments, what was the first thing that went? And what did you find underneath it?